Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. I'm Dylan. Joining me as always are Ben, Zach, and Cam. And this week we're doing the 1986 bro movie, Top Gun. I had never seen this film. I assume everyone else has.
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
I haven't.
Oh, Cam, you hadn't seen this?
No, I've never seen it.
Two-man Goop Squad.
That actually surprises me because I feel like everyone in our friend group, or at least everyone being Ben and Carlos, love Top Gun and talk about it all the time. So I just assumed everyone else had seen it.
No, haven't seen it.
Well, you know what happens when you assume, Dylan? You make an ass out of you and me.
He got you.
Well,
Game over.
Boomed him.
Shut it off.
Episode over, I guess.
to kick things off and get everybody in the right mood, we're going to go to this week's cocktail, the Aviator Fuel. I tried to look up, because I thought hemlock was a cocktail, because there's the scene where Maverick is trying to leave, and the girl goes to him. They're at the bar, and they're like, what do you have? And she's like, oh, I'll have what he's having. Hemlock, I presume, or something like that. I thought that was a cocktail, and I looked it up, and it's like a reference to Socrates, who killed himself by drinking hemlock. He poisoned himself.
Yes.
So there is no hemlock cocktail. Don't drink
That'd
it.
be pretty badass, though.
There is, but you only drink it once.
I would not
It's
recommend
basically
it.
a gin and tonic, but also has cyanide.
But so our next best cocktail option was the Aviator Fuel, which is 2 ounces of vodka, 2 ounces of lemonade, 2 ounces of lemon lime soda, and a lemon wedge. It's gonna be an easy sipper, I assume. It's probably tasty.
Mine is not.
No,
Mine tastes pretty much.
Wow.
It's very
Yeah.
vodka heavy. It
I
somehow
think
What?
it somehow doesn't give
Yeah.
a lot of other flavor. It just tastes like vodka.
I agree. I think because it's equal parts, and I
Yeah.
think that I think it really should be like maybe 3 ounces of each lemonade and Sprite or 7-Up, and then 2 ounces of vodka, or even 4 of the other two. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think it needs a lot more of the other stuff.
Yeah. I made it and I took a sip and I'm like, oh fuck, did I make this wrong? And then I double checked the
No.
ingredients and I'm like, no, it's just supposed to taste like pure. It tastes like
Like-
vodka.
like fuel.
Yeah,
It tastes.
Like
it
Aviator
tastes
Fuel?
like jet fuel.
It's also very flat because you only added 2 ounces of sparkling liquid and 4 ounces of other stuff. So it kind of tastes like flat pop vodka a little bit. So I feel like it needs a lot more of the fizzy stuff and maybe a little more lemonade.
Interesting. I kind of thought when I read the recipe, I was like, oh man, like the vodka's gonna get hidden between the soda and lemonade, and
or-
it sounds.
No, I read it and I'm like, man, this will be a nice, like, easy little sipping. No, it's
Yeah.
basically sipping.
No.
It tastes like you're sipping vodka.
I wish, yeah. Or if you made this, I mean, again, it's a lot. It's not really cocktail, maybe, because it's just 2 ingredients. But if you if you have a sparkling lemonade like Izzy drink or something like that with vodka, I feel like that'd also be pretty equivalent to this, which would be good. But again, I think you need a lot more. If you make this at home, you should add more of the other ingredients.
Or maybe
Then
try like a flavored vodka might be better too.
Yeah,
Bring a little bit-
I still have some of the red, white, and blue vodka. I almost put that in because I thought that would be good. But
I have some Deep Eddy's lemon, and I was like, man, I could make this really lemony and just go with the Deep Eddy, and then I didn't, and I kind of regret it.
And then the regrets kicked in.
Yeah. No regrets.
Check the show notes below. Make yourself an Aviator Fuel. Maybe lengthen it a little bit more, and hit up those Drizzly and Casker links below to get yourself some vodka delivered directly to your door. We get a little kickback from that. You can check out Top Gun as of recording on Netflix. It is leaving soon.
By the time this episode comes out, right?
Oh, yeah, probably.
It comes out this
end of the
Friday.
month, right?
right?
Yeah.
Not this Friday. Next Friday.
This
Or is
episode?
it this Friday?
This episode
No,
releases
the
on...
Top Gun.
Oh, I'm talking about the movie leaving Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It leaves on the 31st, which I think is Tuesday.
Oh, well, maybe check out the episode tonight if you're listening.
Yeah.
And maybe check out the new Top Gun movie. I've heard the reviews are fairly positive.
Yeah.
Top Gun is a 1986 action drama.
Netflix listed as a romance movie.
I was gonna
It's
say
under their
brilliance.
it's under their romance
Yeah,
category.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
It's directed by Tony Scott, written by Jim Cash, Jack Epps, and based off the magazine article Top Guns by Ehud Yonne. Stars Tom Cruise, Tim Robbins, Kelly McGillis, Val Kilmer. I'm going off the IMDb cat. I'm like, hold on a second.
I know. IMDb lists Tim Robbins on there, and he's in the movie for all of like 5 minutes. It should really be like Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis, Anthony
Edwards.
Is it Anthony Edwards? I always get confused
Yeah.
when I go to say that because I think of the rookie basketball player. And then I'm
Basketball
like,
player?
no,
Yeah.
I'm saying the wrong name. Hold on, I gotta check this.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, Val Kilmer, maybe Tom Skerritt,
fucking Skerritt,
because he's pretty big in there. The Wolfman, Barry Tubb.
and Michael Ironside as Jester. He's done a lot of stuff.
It currently sits at a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It won 1 Oscar. Best Music Original Song, Take My Breath Away. Wow. I asked
Berlin.
if that was
Yeah.
if made for this, but I did not know.
Did you watch the video I sent in the chat?
No, not yet.
I recognized the song instantly because there's an episode of Always Sunny that has the dentist system in which how he gets women by abusing them, and in the sex scene when he's explaining it, they play this song, and it's also got like a blue background to it, very much like this movie.
It was nominated for Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Effects, Sound Effects Editing at the Oscars in 1987 as well. I kind of knew what the movie was about. Like, I knew they were like fighter pilots. I knew the volleyball scene, and I knew like the Kenny Loggins.
Everybody knows the volleyball scene.
I had no idea what this movie was about, like actually going in, because
Me neither.
like I was like, they're fighter pilots, like it's whatever. I was like, how does that play into the actual plot of the movie? And then once it was like, Top Gun is a program where the best and most elite fighter pilots go to learn, I was like, okay, now I kind of understand where we're headed here.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the movie revolved around weapons school for them. I was like, that's okay. I thought honestly, I thought it would be more intense, if I'm being honest. I thought it'd be more like, oh, they're fighting bad guys, but instead it's like
No.
75% no.
No, I mean, it's literally about the Top Gun school. That's
Yeah.
They
Well, now
open
I
and
know
close
that.
with fighting bad guys.
But yeah,
right?
they fight
Not
bad guys.
script bad guys over the
Hey, they don't
Indian
fight
Ocean.
the bad guy in the first one.
no,
They
they
just-
just communicate.
Yeah, they just communicate. They just
Keeping up.
also, yeah. Never mind. We'll get to
Which,
that later.
like that scene where he's like, oh yeah, no, that's not how the MiG can do it. They took about like four like G forces or whatever. Like, how do you know that? Well, we were next to one. Yeah, I was inverted. We were about 1 meter away or something. I
How
have a
far
photo.
away were
They
you?
inverted
About
the
2
bird.
meters. How we were inverted.
I have a nice Polaroid. Yeah, he took.
I love Goose constantly trying to chime in there. It's like, oh, actually, it was more like 1.5 meters. We got a really nice Polaroid. Felt so bad he had to go.
Also during a training exercise.
It's dangerous
Wow.
shit, man.
And the irony that it's all Iceman's fault. Iceman doesn't make mistakes. Also, Iceman kind of is responsible for Goose dying.
Yeah. 'Cause he's hesitating to take that shot, right? And he was like, nah,
Well,
I can't do it, and pulled
No,
away.
Maverick basically tells him to move out of the way because he has the shot.
Yeah.
Which I kind of thought Goose was gonna make it. Maybe, I don't know. Because like when he shoots up, he does hit the thing, and I'm like, oh, he's just bloody, and he got over there quick enough to save him. No.
Well, they literally are like, you gotta let him go.
Yeah, but they're just saving
Multiple
him.
people say that to him. Before and after, you know he's dead for real.
I was gonna say before they're like rescuing him. I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna make it because he's.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of supposed to be like symbolic of like he's gone, you know?
Also, that
Gets me
water
every
was
time.
utterly filthy.
Well,
Did you guys notice how green the water was?
Well, it was also
No,
dyed.
they-
with the,
yeah.
like
When
a
they
flare.
landed, they pulled like a dye pack so that the divers can find them.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they.
All right.
It's easier to see from this. I know Mr. New Eyes thinks he can see everything, but when you're in a fucking helicopter looking for one tiny
These
floating
eyeballs
person,
are
hard,
freshly shaved. Get that slander out of your mouth.
when you're looking,
You can't even
for
see colors. So what,
someone
what is it?
bob, yeah, seeing someone
Google-
Wait,
bobbing.
they
one
they
tiny
released a
person.
dye pack?
What are dye packs?
That water just looked
What do
dirty.
those do?
The water looked more gray.
Some nice green, dirty water.
I don't. Yeah, not knowing what to expect, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I don't know. It's a fun movie.
I was pretty whelmed.
Yeah, like I wasn't blown away. I thought the action scenes that start in the beginning were pretty intense. They really got you in it, and it's like super. I mean, this is directed by Tony Scott, and it's such a Tony Scott movie. It feels like, having seen some of his other
What
ones.
else has he done?
Like Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, Unstoppable, True Romance, Deja Vu, Enemy of the State, Taking of Pelham 123, Beverly Hills Cops 2,
Oh, just two?
yeah, Days of Thunders,
Okay.
The Last Boy Scout. Basically super stylized, like action thrillers, a lot of like quick cutting.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of feels like that, especially the scenes, like the high paced action scenes. There's like you see like one shot of the jet flying, then you see it in the cockpit, and you see the jet flying. It's like so quick action.
I want to know, did they have like actual pilots like dogfighting, or was that all like practical effects?
So there are some scenes where you can clearly see cameras mounted on the front of planes. Like there's a black
Okay.
arm that comes out past the cockpit and kind of looks back. I was
Oh,
going to
okay.
ask if you guys noticed that. There's like 3 or 4
No.
scenes I can think of where a plane takes a turn and they're not even really trying to hide it.
I wonder how they managed to do that. Like I would imagine those arms would struggle to hold a camera at some of those forces. Maybe they're
No,
not
you
flying
tighten the
as
bolts.
maybe they're not flying as fast.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
guessing they're not going like full. You probably can't to try and do that much like choreography at full speed. They probably wouldn't let you do that just because of the risk of it.
Because the other thing I'm thinking about is some of the scenes where they were flying, like side by side. Is the camera in another plane or like a helicopter, like flying with them? Because they can't be going that fast for like a helicopter, for instance.
What's what I'm wondering is how much of it is like, because like that could theoretically be done with a practical effect, I would think, like a small like model die cast, or
like
something.
miniatures.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how much of it is that, or how much of it is like actual pilots flying planes around.
I don't know, because Tom Cruise flies some.
I mean,
in
it
the
looked
new
legit,
movies,
like
right?
especially like the landings and takeoffs and stuff. It all looked legit,
Yes, Tom Cruise does his own stunts. He is all about A, doing
He is
his
a
own
fighter
stunts,
pilot.
and B, aliens that suck things into volcanoes.
Yes, he does love both of those things. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed of the I don't know what you'd call it. I guess maybe the effects or something like that. Where I mean, because like the dogfighting scenes and everything, like it looked good. Honestly, like it was believable that they were actually the ones in the planes, like flying around.
So according to this, in order to shoot the breathtaking jet fighter scenes, Tony Scott and the crew stationed the cameras directly on the planes using an A6 intruder with 4 camera positions on mounts developed by Grumman Aircraft. So I mean, they used like a legit,
Northrop Grumman.
yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, cameras were also mounted in the cockpit, directed towards the shoulder of the pilot and the navigator, while others were stationed under both wings and under the belly of the plane. So I think a lot of that stuff was
Sounds
real,
legit.
and then the cockpit stuff was all like
Probably done in post.
the cockpit shots were done on studio sets.
Yeah.
And then they said some of the planes blowing up or spinning out were scale models.
That's cool.
It's probably hard to like spin out a plane on purpose, right?
I mean, it's probably also
Safely.
super fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
It seems pretty stable.
Yeah,
And expensive,
hey,
yeah. I mean, each of those jets is millions of dollars.
Yeah, like
even
40
back
million
then.
or something for one.
yeah.
And it's funny because like I didn't realize this movie actually revolves around the Navy,
Yeah.
rather than like the Air Force. It's interesting. I feel like that's the thing people don't realize is like the Air Force has the largest aircraft like fleet on the world. The second largest is the Navy, and then I think the third is some like China or something, someone else, maybe Russia.
Not anymore.
Well,
But
I don't know if they've lost that much to be knocked down a peg.
Interesting. Did you see
okay.
this, Ben? The While real pilots were shot flying during the regular routines, NASA astronaut Scott Altman piloted the F-14 aircraft for many of the film's stunt sequences, having been stationed at NAS, I guess Naval Air Station or something, Miramar.
Yeah.
At that point
Yeah.
in time, he's a part of the film's iconic opening sequence, and as well as several scenes that feature an aircraft buzzing the tower throughout the film.
I did see that. I wasn't sure if anyone else was going to be interested, so I didn't mention that part of the article.
Or if Zach
But-
had that as a trivia question.
Cross it off the list.
That's fine.
no trivia, boys.
No trivia?
Boo!
No
We're
trivia?
safe. Pull out the
Okay,
facts.
good.
We have
So
cat
can get
facts.
into this fucking weeds, boys. So, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of my favorite facts about this movie, it's on the DVD special features. There's a breakdown about the music for this movie. Kenny Loggins talks about how he landed like doing a lot of the soundtrack for this. He said he was in a screening with a bunch of other musicians. They watched the movie, and all throughout like the dogfighting scenes and all this other stuff, like people are sitting there like writing stuff down and writing stuff down. He watched the volleyball scene, wrote "Playing with the Boys,"
Playing with the boys.
and that's what got him in the movie. And the person who actually wrote Danger Zone was like a mechanic. So, and then Kenny Loggins like recorded, I think wrote like maybe took like the general theme of it and actually like fully wrote the song. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that the reason Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone exists is because he wrote the song for the homoerotic volleyball scene.
I want to know whose idea it was to put that in the movie, and
It's so
like everything.
weird. Because it's like,
It's so out of place. It has nothing to do with anything, and they just decided.
he gets the date with the like instructor. The guy's like, crash and burn, Maverick. And he's like, you stink. Volleyball scene. We get that for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. And then it's like, let's play another. I got things to do, man. And then he goes to the date. What?
I love how they then, as Maverick's leaving, you hear someone go, "Oh, come on, Mother Goose, you pussy."
Yeah.
Just poor Goose, just like he's like, "Come on, man, play another one."
It does seem very out of place. Like they did not need to do that at all. Like I don't understand.
But I'd say it's the
why.
most famous scene from the movie. Not gonna lie.
It's by far the most famous scene from the movie. At least the most parodied. Like it's made fun of
Hell,
so
I made
much.
one at work and I've never even seen the movie, but I know that scene.
Yeah.
I will say, I watched this at work today. Very interesting movie to have on as people can just walk by and see your screen. Because some people, the reactions went from, are you watching Top Gun right now? To, Dylan, what are you watching? There's just a bunch of shirtless men in towels right now. I was like, no, it's
Yeah,
Top
this
Gun.
for being like
I swear.
for something that's known as like the quintessential guy movie, it's pretty homoerotic.
I don't think that's
It's all
coincidental.
about bros, man. It's just bros.
Yeah, it's just broing out with your boys. You know,
It's just hanging out with the bros.
Playing with
skins
the
and more
boys.
skins. Except for Goose. He decides to wear a
bro down.
shirt. Everybody else is skins for some reason.
poor Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, he doesn't get to be in the sequel 40
That was
years later.
foreshadowing.
His
So
son's in the sequel, though.
you guys know this because I texted you when I was there. But earlier this year for a show, I was in San Diego. My boss and I were like, "Oh, where should we go eat?" So I looked up, what places were around, and there was this little Kansas City barbecue. So I'm like, all right, well, let's check this out. We walk in, and what's there but the bar from Top Gun? It looks exactly the same as it did in 1986. The piano's there. You can kind of see over the jukebox, there's that Kansas City poster. That's up there. There's a bunch of, like, hats. Apparently, like, it's a popular place for people to go, especially, like, pilots. Like, it's a huge place that Navy people go, probably because of the movie. But it was pretty cool. The food was pretty good, which I didn't even realize until rewatching it this time around, that when you first see them at the bar, so Goose is at the piano with his son, and then Maverick, Goose's wife, Charlie, they're at the table, and they're eating barbecue, and it never dawned on me that that's what was going on. But it's a cool place. It's in San Diego. Recommend it. If you've never been, check it out.
just got to get to San Diego.
Stumbled upon it, immediately was texting pictures to people, like, oh my god, look what I found.
Did you sit down at the piano and play Great Balls of Fire?
I don't know how to play piano, so no. But God, I wish I would have.
Would have been cool, though. I bet they definitely wouldn't have thrown you out.
I bet they love that. I bet you they completely love everyone that
thrive
does
on
that shit.
Free advertising, you know? The movie came out 40 years ago.
Another fun thing, and it's like the top of the IMDb trivia thing, but it is a true fact. So obviously the Top Gun school is real. If you are at the Top Gun school and you quote this movie, you have to put $5 in a jar.
I'm not surprised,
That's
I guess.
a thing you have to do. And then there was, I remember reading something about Jerry Bruckheimer, who produced the movie, trying to get Tom Cruise, and him being like, no, I don't want to do it. And finally, now this says they finally convinced Tom Cruise to go up, but I could have sworn I've read somewhere where Tom Cruise was like, I didn't tell Jerry, but I went out and actually, like, went up in a plane just to kind of get over it. And then I reached back out to him to do the movie. He's like, I didn't want Jerry to know, but I went out on my own to try and, like, get used to doing this to see if it was something I could do for a shoot.
I'm just looking at these Letterboxd reviews, and all of them are like, not just sort of gay, but actually one of the gayest movies I think I've ever seen. May I offer my scientific assessment? Not gay enough.
I think this movie is one of the main movies that I realize, like, when you watch it and you realize how far off center Tom Cruise's teeth are.
Oh, dude, they were so bad. at
Middle
early on.
tooth is big.
Yeah. He's got the middle tooth going.
And he has a unibrow throughout, like, most
He
of
does
this
in
movie.
He does
Until,
have
like,
a unibrow in this
Until
movie,
I want to say,
yeah.
like, halfway to 3/4 through, and then it's, like, gone. But you're just like, what? You had a unibrow, like, this entire time.
He must have also had some braces at some point in his life, because his teeth are kind of fucked up early on. Like more so than just the middle tooth.
sure.
Like the middle tooth is like bigger than all the other
Yeah.
teeth. Like it looks like Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents almost.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I found it kind of odd. Just how, I mean, I guess it's like, you know, whatever, I saved your life thing, but it's just kind of odd to me how quickly, like, Iceman is like broing down with Maverick at the end.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you can be my wingman anytime. No, you can be mine. After they like hated each other the whole movie.
There was a point
Like,
where
that's-
it was there was a point where it was more like respectful. Like after Goose died, he was like, "I'm
When
sorry,
Iceman killed
Goose
Goose,
died." And then at the ceremony where Iceman wins, he's like, "Hey, congrats, man!" You know, and they like handshake or whatever.
In like a spiteful way.
I don't think it's. I didn't read that as
but
spiteful.
what's weird is, like, literally not long after that, he goes up to the commander and is like, do you really think Maverick
Well, because
should be
Maverick,
flying?"
like Goose had just died with Maverick. I think they were, and Maverick had also just quit. I think they were just.
Oh,
I think they were more.
No,
like,
I'm aware, but it does make it weird that, like, immediately after they land, they're like,
Well, they
it's
did
all
save
good.
him. He proved him wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think Iceman had some valid
he
concerns.
did. No. I don't think it's on Iceman's point. I'm surprised that Maverick was so easily swayed to just be like, yeah, man, I love you
Yeah.
too.
Cam, what did you think on your what did you think of your first viewing?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right. It wasn't as I thought it was honestly going to be awful. It wasn't as bad as I thought though. I thought it was going to be really bad.
I felt that too. I was kind of like, is it gonna be one of those movies where everyone like beloved it, but it's pretty bad?
Yeah. One of the things that stood out to me was how fucking creepy Maverick is in the beginning of the movie, where he's trying to seduce what's her face, Charlie, and follows her into the restroom. Has that whole sing along with the entire pilots to her, like in a bar. Like you said, follows her into the restroom.
I think the sing along is like fine. I mean, it's
That
just
was
like
the
a
wor-
pickup
that
line.
was
Okay with the sing.
Yeah.
that was my
I'm not gonna lie.
low. That
I'm
was
not
my
gonna
low
lie.
point in the movie. That was awful. Like, not that it was super creepy, but it was so
I think-
cringy.
I think the him following her into the
That's
bathroom
the-
and like
yeah.
trying to hit on her, like, come on, man, don't do that. But I thought the singing thing, like, of ways I've seen in movies where people try to like hit on someone, I think that's one of the like.
I thought
one
it
of
was
the best
cringy
ways.
as fuck, and I could barely watch it. I was like, oh my god, this is so bad.
Oh. I just love when he looks at Goose and is like, I think she's lost that love and feeling. No.
I
No.
hate when she loses.
I mean, that part wasn't creepy, but following her into the bathroom was rough.
Have you tried this before? Twice.
Yeah, then they're like, you wanna do it right here on the tile? No, I was thinking the counter.
And then,
Okay,
like,
calm down.
the other thing is, like,
Yeah.
just, like, I cringe too at the writing for these women because, some male wrote this and was like, yes, a woman would totally love this. She would be totally into it. I'm going to write this woman as if she's totally into all this stuff. It's like, no, I don't think that's a reasonable assumption.
I do believe women are into Tom Cruise, though.
Well, okay, maybe, but are they into Tom Cruise following them into the bathroom? I doubt it.
Did you guys have any memorable scenes or quotes?
Volleyball scene.
I guess we already we talked about the volleyball scene, but
This movie, I feel like there's so many good quotes. Maybe not like they're great quotes, but I feel like it's very quotable. I feel the need for speed.
is that from this movie, or is that referencing
I don't know if it's
something else?
referencing something else, but I always knew it from this movie. The that's right, I am dangerous, followed by Val Kilmer's really weird like bite thing. I don't understand it, but classic.
Val Kilmer's a weird dude, man.
The you can be my wingman anytime bullshit. You can be mine. Classic. Negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. I feel like I've definitely said that. Anytime someone asks me for something and I want to say no, I'll just say negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
I feel like negative Ghost Rider
Oh, man.
is like a big one. that
Yeah, I was
makes
gonna
it
say
fun.
if you
Just that
negative
part.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me, Goose. I had a boss that would say that all the time.
That's like such a old
be
white
like,
guy thing to say.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Goose.
Just to reference Top Gun like that.
I loved when they said, take me to bed or lose me forever. Charlie says it, Goose's wife says it, and it's like so cringy.
Goose. Hey, Goose, you big stud. Take me to bed or lose me forever. I love how they just say that right in front of their, like, 3-year-old son, who's definitely old enough to, like, repeat that at some point.
Yep. Does this movie go on your Mount Rushmore of quote-unquote guy movies? Like testosterone-laden movies?
Not for me.
You don't think so?
I think it's on mine just because I've seen it so many times, and in my mind it's one of those
Yeah.
like if you talk to most like any guy,
I feel like if you talk to any guy in their
they've
40s,
seen this
or
movie.
more, they would tell you that they love this movie.
I guess, am I doing it for me or am I just doing it in general? Like,
I think
like
in
a,
general.
like a generic guy movie one, I guess I would say, yeah.
I think it's pretty up there because like I feel like if you're thinking like top guy movies, you're like Top Gun, Die Hard. Man, I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to think of some other ones.
Maybe like First Blood.
Yeah, maybe Rambo makes sense.
Terminator. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top 10 movies I'd watch with straight guys? No, probably not that one. Every white guy's top 25 movies of all time. Fight Club.
Oh,
Fight Club would definitely go on.
I was gonna say probably like Fight Club is one of the other like
Fight
bro
Club
movies.
should probably be up there. It's not as
I
old.
think
but-
like The Matrix goes in there.
Scarface.
Yeah,
Oh, Scarface for sure.
Dark Knight.
What's so
Reservoir
weird though is
Dogs.
that like I don't
Pulp
put those
Fiction.
movies in the same like it feels so
Yeah.
much different.
Ocean's
than those
11?
ones.
No, I mean, I like that movie better than any of the ones we just mentioned, but
I kind of feel like it's like Die Hard, Top Gun, Braveheart, and like Rocky. Or
Rocky,
something.
that's a one to put up there. I feel like
Yeah.
Top Gun, Rocky, Die Hard, and then pick a different action movie.
I'd say
Maybe
I'd say
Scarface.
Scarface.
I feel like that's so long though. It's
That
like
movie
an
that
epic.
every
I don't
fucking-
know.
That every fucking college kid has the poster on their wall,
Yeah,
looking at you.
but they've
Zach.
never seen it.
I didn't have it on my wall.
Where'd you have it?
Nowhere.
He has it
Okay.
tattooed on his ass.
Well, I'll show you one day.
I don't know. Guy movies, I feel like, you know.
I don't think they're just action movies. There's something else.
Well,
to
it's.
them.
I think
And
it's
Top Gun
like.
has a
I
lot
think
of
it's
it.
like identifying with the lead role character. Like, I feel like there's like an element of like, oh man, I wish I was like Tom Cruise in Top Gun,
Yeah,
you know, or like
yeah.
I wish I was like John
supposed to wanna
McClane
be
or
that guy.
Rocky, you know, like those types of things.
Wow. This guy's list on Letterboxd is top bromance movies. Top Gun isn't even on it. Wasn't even an honorable mention.
That's stupid.
It's-
That's bad.
Honorable mentions were
on
Swingers,
his
Point
list?
Break, The Goonies, Good Will Hunting. But the list is I Love You Man, Superbad, Hot Fuzz, Clerks 2, Lord of the Rings, Wayne's World, 50-50, Harold and Kumar, Ferris Bueller, and Bad Boys 2.
I feel like
I put no
Bad
stock
Boys
in his
too.
yeah, I
list.
feel like Maverick and Goose, like their bromance, I feel like has to be up there. Like it's, I don't know.
Is it-
I haven't
is it
seen
a
some of
goat
those movies.
bromance?
But...
I think it
Goat?
might be the movie bromance.
You're the only family I have, Goose.
That scene when they're sitting there in the hotel room and like Goose is finally like serious with him, where he's like, "Look, man, I'm trying to provide for my wife and family."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and then later on he dies, and you're just like, oh my god, all he wanted to do was provide for his
Yeah,
family.
even his wife is like, "I'd like to warn you against Maverick, but I like him too
Yeah,
much."
or like the wife later is like, yeah, he wouldn't want to fly with anyone else but you. Like you were
Yeah.
his dude.
Yeah, he loved flying with you.
I will say I was kind of surprised that Maverick and Goose weren't the top in the class. I feel like that's where it was gonna go. Like it was like, all right, they're just gonna work their way to the top. They had a couple hardships, and now they're gonna go. And then it was like, actually,
Scrappy underdogs.
Goose is dead.
Yeah.
And Iceman won. And Maverick quit. But now he's back.
In case you were wondering who the best is.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually, it does go against our expectation, but I feel like that's kind of a theme of some 80s movies, like this one and Rocky, right? Like,
Yeah.
and those, neither of them, they win. I mean, I guess, like, in the end, they win against the MiGs or whatever, but, like, they don't win the competition in which, like, the movie sets up for them as, like, the goal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they kind of they both kind of fall short of that, but I think it shows that you can succeed even if you don't even if you don't meet like the highest mark, you can still succeed.
There are two Goobs in the Goob squad this week. Cam and I had never seen this film, so we'll give you some fresh ratings. And then Zach and Ben are going to give you a nostalgia rating and then an updated one after seeing Top Gun for first time in maybe a while.
It was all right. I thought it was going to be awful, and it was fine. Some of the, or I will say all of the, like fighter jet scenes, where they're doing the dog fighting, stuff looked really good. You know, they obviously, it sounds like they had people actually up there flying the jets, which makes sense. But I thought that stuff was really good. A lot of it, though, is kind of like the plot itself was kind of meh. The acting, of course, kind of meh. And it was just like overall okay, I think. It's obviously an iconic movie, but having watched it for the first time almost 40 years later, I don't know. It wasn't amazing. I will say I would be open to seeing the sequel. I've heard great things about it so far, but it comes out, at least at the time of recording, I think it comes out at the end of this week. But anyway, I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10. I thought it was all right.
I will echo that 6 out of 10. It's yeah, whatever, man. It tried to be funny at points. It was kind of stupid. Like where he keeps buzzing the tower. I'm like, haha, yeah, this guy's gonna get another cup of coffee.
You crazy?
It's so
Okay,
silly.
But when he goes to storm out of the office and then walks into the guy and spills the coffee all over himself and yells, "God damn it," a second time. Come on. That's pretty
That
good.
was funny.
Little did he know there'd be a third time. I feel like there's a lot of iconic parts of this movie. Him driving the motorcycle and like doing the fist as the plane's taking off in the background. All the fucking danger zone and
All the fucking danger zone. All of it.
some of the dog fighting, the volleyball scene. It's a 6 out of 10. It's a fine movie. Is it gonna blow you away? No. Are you gonna be slightly impressed with the way they shot this? Because that's honestly the best part of the movie, in my opinion. Like, it's impressive, all this fighting, like the flying. I mean, I hadn't seen it, and I guess I enjoyed it enough to recommend it if somebody else hadn't seen it. Check it out. It's an hour and 40 minutes, hour 50 minutes. And honestly, it kind of flies by.
See what you did there?
But this movie rests on cool dogfights. Cool dogfights aside, not a whole lot here. This movie's got a little bit of like, oh, that'd be really cool to be Maverick and like flying planes, but he's kind of a douchebag, you know? He's not really nice to anybody or deserving of like all the second, third, fourth, fifth chances he gets. And the movie just kind of seems chopped and screwed in places. Like, the volleyball scene is the easiest example to point to, where it's like, why is this here? We don't need this few minutes at all. My number one complaint with this movie has always been, I don't think Tom Cruise sells how upset he should have been that his best friend died, like in his plane. I feel like it's like 15 seconds later and he's just shaving himself in the sink, and his instructor's like, yeah, man, you got to get over it. All right, man, I'm on it.
To be fair, I feel like that's, whether you like it or not, I feel like that's kind of the mentality, is like people die in war, and like that's not I don't think that's good, but I feel like that's kind of the mentality of like, he's dead, get past it. Like, it's kind of fucked, but
For sure. The issue is people are telling him that.
oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
There's a great quote from MASH. There's 2 rules to war. Rule number 1 is young men die. Rule number 2 is doctors can't fix rule number 1. Yeah, just got deep with MASH quotes, bitch.
MASH reference.
All of our boomer listeners are gonna fucking love it. I love you, Dad.
The shots inside the cockpit, they're really cool. The dogfights are really cool. I think this is one of those movies that like you should see. Don't expect a lot out of it, but see it for the references. See it for the guyness, I guess, is the way to put it. It's just a cultural, iconic movie that you should see, but it's not amazing. 5 out of 10.
Are you boys ready for the shock of your life?
10 out of 10. Greatest movie of all time.
This movie is objectively meh. I'll say it. I fucking love it.
That is a shocking opinion, honestly.
I fucking love it, but if I look at this movie objectively, it's okay. It's fun. I think the nice thing about this movie that makes it something that I can just kind of turn on is the fact that it's so quick. It doesn't feel long at all. It doesn't really drag. and it's less than 2 hours. So you just kind of like you start right away with the dogfight, and then you're like, as soon as the dogfight's over, they're getting sent to Top Gun, and it's like, okay, cool. We're not fucking with a bunch of weird backstory. We're gonna kind of talk about the fact that Maverick's dad was also a fighter pilot, so he flies with a chip on his shoulder. We're not really gonna bog down with a shit ton of backstory. We're just gonna keep plowing through this thing. I think it's super quotable. It's a movie I love watching. I could watch this movie, just turn it on and go. I do think there's a lot of stuff like, again, probably not people our age because the movie's pretty old at this point, but like there's a lot of quotes that you probably have heard that didn't at the time realize, and even now you just don't remember hearing it that way, but I'm sure was quoted from this movie. But if I'm taking off my rose-colored glasses, it's okay. But I do still think it's just a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Like I said, it's less than 2 hours. It's fun. It's pretty exciting too. I mean, the shots of the dogfights in that are actually like they keep you invested in the movie. It's not like here's an aerial shot of a plane flying by and okay, we're done. It is pretty action heavy with that. But going into it, I had it between like a 6 and a 7, and if I'm giving it an objective rating, it's probably more like a 6 than a 7. I'm excited to see what the sequel's going to be like. I've heard really good things considering that it's a sequel made almost 40 years later. So it's kind of crazy to see that they're just going to do a sequel rather than a reboot, because that's kind of what Hollywood does nowadays, is just like, oh, this movie came out in 1986. Let's make a reboot.
So is Maverick gonna be the like instructor at Top Gun in the next one?
From what I
he's the
understand,
instructor.
he's the instructor, and Miles Teller plays Goose's son,
That's correct. Yeah.
who does not like Maverick because he blames him for his dad dying.
Even though
Oh,
it
so
was
Val
clearly
Kilmer is in
Iceman's
it
fault.
actually.
Val Kilmer
is,
comes
yeah.
back, and they used AI
So
to
is John
recreate his
Hamm.
voice. Well, John Hamm's not back. He wasn't in the first one.
No, I'm saying he is in the movie though.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Hit the Drizzly and Casker links below. Get yourself some vodka to make the Aviator Fuel. Share us with your friends and family, and as always, watch responsibly.